Hey, what's up? My name is Esthy. In this video, I want to show you how to use Vocoder. I'm going to go over 3 different plugins at 3 different price points so you can decide for yourself which one works best for you. So let's jump right in. If you're not familiar with vocoder, how vocoder works is basically combines 2 different signals, the modulator and the carrier. Think of the modulator as the shape of the sound and think of the carrier as the texture of the sound. First, I want to show you a free option, which is the built-in vocoder in Ableton 12. We're going to set this up by dropping the vocoder plugin directly on the modulator track that we have, which is the slightly treated vocal. And for the MIDI track, I just opened the built-in wavetable. At the moment, it's a very mellow sound and a mellow shape, so you want to amp that up a little bit just to make sure that it can affect the vocal properly. I'm going to pull it up and have it more of a saw shape. The more texture it has to it, the better it will work with our vocoder. I'm going to come back to our modulated track. Let's solo this and play it with the vocoder plugin on top. As you can tell at the moment, it sounds really weird because the carrier by default is set up to noise. We're going to go ahead and change that to external, which is going to be our MIDI track. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Ableton vocoder MIDI track that we have and disable the MIDI track. Let's just hear the vocal track with the vocoder plugin on it. Now we already have a really cool vocoder sound. Let me turn on the original vocal so we can layer this on top. This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go. One thing you should definitely try here is play around with the bands. Let me show you how different it sounds if we only have 4 bands. And let me show you how it sounds like if we have 36. This will be the last time that you will ever hold me. The more bands you enable, the more intricate your vocoder is going to sound. This panel adjusts the frequency range of the bands that you just set up, but an easier way to go about this, instead of putting in different numbers, is to change the format. The format does the exact same thing, except when you're changing it, it's not displaying it here, so don't let that confuse you, but let me show you how that sounds like. This will be the last time ever hold me. So adjusting the format is an easier way to get the exact sound that you want. You can also go ahead and draw whatever frequencies you want to highlight or dim. We can also click on Enhance. What Enhance is going to do is it's going to basically normalize the volume level of each band so you can hear them equally. So it will give you a more even starting point to play around with. A lot of times when you're using vocoder, some of the speechiness of the vocal can get lost and get buried within the synth sound. So by turning up onboards, you can get some of the definition back, which is the S's, the T's, some of the sibilants. So let me adjust this in a way that I think sounds good and play the normal vocal on top of this. There's so long and down my face, but you don't know it. 'Cause I'll never let it show. This is really a stunning free option that you should try if you have Ableton Live. But let's move on to the next tier, which is VocalSynth 2 by iZotope, one of my favorites. When you're setting up vocoder plugins, you gotta really look at the instructions because each vocoder plugin has a different setup method. In this case, we actually don't need to put any instruments on the MIDI track. We just need the chords or whatever you want on the MIDI track. And on the vocal track, I have the basic treatment and the VocalSynth 2 plugin. Let's open it. There's a little panel there that you can click on, and it has different modes, auto, MIDI, or sidechain mode. I obviously have it set up in MIDI mode at the moment, but you can just click on any of these things depending on what you want, and then just follow the instructions. Let's go back and let's see how it sounds like with the default settings. This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go. It already sounds pretty great. As you can see, we have different boxes here. Each of these boxes represent different synths. So let me turn them on one by one and then see how it sounds. This will be the last time that you will ever hold me.
This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go.
So I want a little bit less of the polyvox. I think I like everything as is. You also have an option to adjust the general width of the vocoders.
This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go.
If you click on any of these modules, you have some options already, but you can really fine-tune them by clicking on this icon, which will give you the option to dig in and modify the synth sound exactly the way you want it. So you can go ahead and pick different synth sounds here. You can enable more oscillators if you want. You can play with the volume of each band. You can pan each band. This is one of my favorite options in there. So let's play around with this one.
This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go. Tears are running down my face, but you will know it, 'cause I will never let it show.
But I want to highlight a little bit of the bottom row here.
This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go. This will be the last time that you will ever. This will be the last time you will ever hold me.
Sounds really good. Just within seconds, we got something that's super unique and it really didn't take a lot of effort.
This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go. But when you hold me closer, I'll be there for you, if not forever, just for tonight.
By the way, this plugin from iZotope, VocalSynth 2, is available through Splice. You can purchase it or you can have it as a rent-to-own option, which is usually what I do. It's way more convenient. So our last vocoder plugin is the emulation of the original vocoder. I got this plugin as part of a bundle with an Arturia's V Collection 11. This is also a plugin bundle that you can get through Splice. And again, the setup for this is slightly different than for the previous two. For this one, you need to drop the plugin directly on the carrier track. So in this case, the Vocoder V is going to sit on top of the MIDI track that we have. So let me open it, solo it, and see what it's doing at the moment.
Synthesize vocoder generator.
So at the moment, it's singing seemingly random words. We're going to switch from sample to voice. And once we switch to voice, we're going to go ahead and change the sidechain setting on this plugin. So we're basically going to sidechain the modulator in the carriers. Already sounds pretty awesome, and also it's stunning to see such a realistic representation of the original vocoder. Of course, you're able to use all of these plugins live. You can play the keyboard, you can sing in a microphone, you can set them up as you'd like. It's just a bit easier for me on pre-recorded tracks. So first, let's go over the basic settings. You have the option to mix these two waveforms together as much as you'd like. You can also adjust the waveform itself. You can adjust the shape of the waveform. You can adjust the attack, release, but let's move on to more exciting things, which is this panel on top. You can adjust the synth and the voice input here, but you have this amazing patch bay. You can also go ahead and adjust the frequency bands. And if you want to play around, you can do the patch bay yourself and see what kind of exciting sounds you can get out of it. Or you can go ahead and check out some of the presets. But one thing that's super exciting about this plugin is that you have this advanced panel, and when you click on it, you have a ton of stunning options. First of all, it's showing you the frequency range of the voice input, EQ, the input, as well as compress right here. Super exciting. One thing that's absolutely unique about this is that you have a sample player, and this is where the seemingly random words from the beginning come into play. At the moment, it has the built-in words set up. You can go ahead and delete these at different fonts. There are a ton of built-in phrases, words, and font stuff that you can play around with, or you can go and choose your own sample. I'm gonna add the same vocal track here. You can adjust which part you wanna use for the sample. So basically you have the option to create the most unique synth sounds ever. You can go a step further from that and play around with the mods. And you can also adjust these effects individually. Here you can add reverb, delay, compressor, and a ton of other fun things like chorus. Let me switch back to voice mode and show you how this sounds underneath our original vocal track.
This will be the last time that you will ever hold me, and then we'll have to let it go.
Sounds incredible. So do let me know in the comments which one of these was your favorite. Make sure to check these plugins out on Splice, and until next time, my name is Esthy. Bye.